A little while ago, Ivy was talking about social media and so forth and how much time kids spend on social media, which in this household is zero. But other places can be dangerous, too. The Roblox gaming app, a place where predators roam, believe it or not. And I say that again because I want you to be aware of Roblox and how dangerous it can be. And illegal aliens roaming around in there. Sexual predators. Tom Garrett is a delegate in Virginia representing the House of Delegates 56th District. He joins me now. Tom, good morning.
Good morning, Steve. I am neither an illegal alien nor a sexual predator, so I check one.
Wow.
Being a politician is bad enough, you know?
Well done. You're certainly not going to be allowed in the Democrat Party. Virginia families at risk because Republican lawmakers blame Spanberger. And by the way, Spanberger, the moderate with 50 new tax proposals, 15 new anti-gun proposals, she's quite a prize, isn't she? Anyhow.
I'll tell you what, the color revolution is underway and Virginia is ground zero.
It certainly is, sadly for you, but hopefully you can hold the line at least a little bit. But anti-ICE policies, because they don't want illegals tossed out of the country, and they want those illegals to have mail-in ballots, of course, but that's a conversation for a different day. But you say that the new laws protect illegal aliens, including ones like, Angel David Rubio Marin used the Roblox app, as I just mentioned, to perform sexually explicit videos and images and collect them from children as young as 10. Oh, these illegal aliens are quite something when they're criminals, aren't they?
Well, I wouldn't differentiate between illegal alien criminals and native-born criminals, except for the fact that the victims of illegal alien crimes shouldn't be victims if we simply enforced our border laws or worked with the federal government's efforts to detain people who were here in violation of our laws, right? So that's sort of the double whammy of injury to American citizens is when they lose a loved one. Stephanie Minter's family, for example, who lost a loved one to Abdul Jallah, who the Fairfax County, Virginia police had said 100 days to the day in an email to the prosecutor's office, and I quote, "It is not if but when he attempts to murder someone or worse," before she was murdered. She should be alive if he weren't here. So the but-for cause of her death is their unwillingness in this instance, I think, to do anything at all to work with the Trump administration, right? If you look, Steve, at the real deportation numbers, Trump is a piker compared to Obama and Clinton and W. Bush, primarily because, you know, we got Democrats who will fly to Central America and break bread with MS-13 gang members if it helps them with their base who are sort of myopically anti-Trump.
They'll get tuned up on margaritas if that's how they feel about it, apparently, right? They'll just get tuned up at lunch hour. Look, here's what really shocks me. You said this on the floor of the House of Delegates. 18 delegates who represent Fairfax, Arlington, and Alexandria voted to make it harder, not easier, harder, to turn over not illegal aliens, but violent criminals, illegals, to ICE. Why would anyone vote against this? If you're an illegal alien criminal, sexual predator, why wouldn't you just have ICE on the hotline and say, hey, come get this person? We don't want them in not just in our country, but in our state or in our county. I mean, these folks that are voting for this, they don't want them as a next-door neighbor. They want them to be your next-door neighbor.
So it's worse than you even state, and there are very few who do it as well as you, Steve, but it's 18 delegates from Fairfax County, all or part alone, right? Now you add in Arlington and Alexandria. I'll digress for a moment. If we just made D.C. square again, 10 miles by 10 miles by 10 by 10, we'd be winning statewide elections in Virginia. We talked about Cook County off air. And so what you've got is a race to the left. I've often told people that I think Virginia is moving faster leftward than Massachusetts or California, because in those states where there's Democrat supermajorities, at least the Democrats, debate amongst themselves. But deporting people with criminal ICE detainers makes sense even from a fiscal responsibility standard, because the price of housing and prosecuting and investigating the offenses committed within these communities easily runs up into the tens of millions of dollars in Virginia alone. And, $1 million here, $1 million there. Sooner or later, we're talking about real money. But I think it's who can get farthest to the left. It's even worse in Virginia now with the illegal sort of abrogation and time machine ignoring of Virginia's redistricting laws. Because now you've got a bunch of people who were in the House this session who knew this was coming down the pike, who are running for Congress, and they know that these districts are drawn quite intentionally and openly to tilt towards the hard left. And so it's who can carry the most radical leftist agenda sort of in a contest of one-upsmanship with one another. So, and the losers obviously are the families of the people who are dead, or a woman who was raped on a public jogging trail adjacent to a playground where kids were playing by someone who was here illegally with an ICE detainer who they simply refused to act on.
You mentioned something important there, Thomas, and I just did this earlier today, and new numbers are out. For immigrants into this country, both legal and illegal, however you want to look at this, that are on public welfare assistance, 54% of immigrants into this country, whether they came here legally or illegally, 54% are taking checks from people like you that go to work every day. By comparison, 28% of non-immigrants have some sort of check coming from the government. I mean, it's double. It's double for those that came into this country. I guess they don't care about the American dream unless it comes with a paycheck automatically from the government. I'll give you the last word.
Well, we essentially, and I've spoken very publicly, and I would invite people to hit Delegate Tom Garrett on Facebook, but I've spoken very publicly on who's to blame here. The people to blame are the people who we elect. You could do a Mencken and say that the American electorate deserves what they've asked for, and they deserve it long and hard. Pardon me for paraphrasing Mencken. But ultimately, we will not pass laws that we're willing to enforce, and then we watch as Democrats sort of make a side job out of villainizing ICE for essentially enforcing the laws that they passed. I'm waiting for the Democrat who's intellectually honest enough to actually propose an open borders bill, because that's what they want, right? And ultimately, the game here is, if you want to fill a vacuum, you must first create a vacuum. America is the most remarkable experiment in freedom ever seen on the face of planet Earth, and we cannot be destroyed from without, but certainly from within. The Soviet Union started it. The Chinese are better at this game. They're pitting us one against the other. They've destroyed the idea of rule of law, and our children are literally suffering because of it. And we have to stand boldly and tell the truth, Steve, as loudly as they lie.
What a concept. Stand boldly, tell the truth. Tom Garrett, I got to leave it right there. Great having you on. You can come back anytime you want, Tom. Thank you.
Steve, my pleasure, and look forward to speaking with you again.
There you have it. From Virginia, the People's Republic of Virginia. I'll be right back.